What's up, guys? So I'm back, Eric Fierro, with my homie, Andrew Lee. We're going to talk about an awesome subject that we're both really excited. Some of you guys might think it's stupid, but we think it's dope, okay? We're going to talk today about the upcoming fight, July 20th, between the one and only Iron Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. What's up, Andrew? How you doing today?
I'm good, man, and I'm glad that we're covering this topic too. I did like the Kendrick versus, Drake beef, but I want some physical beef this time. So let's dive into this. What we
Yeah,
got?
man. It's like you look at the history of Mike Tyson fights and who he's been as a fighter. And honestly, based on the performance, did you see when he fought a few years back, he got back in shape. Like he was pretty out of shape. And he decided he was going to do that exhibition match with Roy
Right.
Jones Jr., right?
Yep.
And he got right back into shape. And I mean, it was impressive to see him at that time at 54, I think he was 54 or 53, to be able to turn it around that quickly, get back into great physical shape. And I think he put on a great show when he was actually fighting. I mean, they both did great, but Mike Tyson, in my opinion, was a little more dominant in that fight. Did you get to watch that fight?
Of course. And I think they were holding back.
You think they were holding back? So
There's moments of like just but then they were holding back. They might have been gassed, or they had some kind of this is for money. This is not the old days.
yeah, let's not hurt each other. Let's just put on a good show. Let's make them excited that they paid to watch this. But it was still entertaining, and I was really impressed that I still feel like Mike has a decent amount of speed. I would say.
Do you see his? So I remember the promotional video for that when he's like, "I'm back," and he had like this scary face, like I was like, "Oh snap!" Like Iron Mike Tyson is back, right? And not like freaking hippie. Weed smoking ayahuasca dude.
Yeah.
This is Iron Mike Tyson. Like I'll kill everybody. The eyes. So, man, when I saw that fight, I was like, I saw that the training clips and all that stuff, but then I saw the fight. It wasn't congruent. The energy, the pre-energy to like the actual fight. Maybe he was gassed. I'm gonna blame it on it being
you're saying the killer wasn't there that you were expecting.
Right. Because for multiple reasons, obviously, age, respect between the two. They don't hate each other. Mike used to destroy people he hated.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's the guy? He beat for Muhammad Ali. It was Larry Holmes. There we go.
Okay.
So Larry Holmes, because that was Parkinson's beginning Parkinson's Ali,
right?
And he beat him, and then he's like, "Go out there and beat him for me." He's like, "I got you," because that was like his idol,
Yeah. Well, let's then now talk a little bit about who Mike Tyson is today. He just launched a line of weed gummies. He seems to have become very spiritual. I've seen him a lot of podcasts where he's talking about his own journey and how he's gone through a lot of turmoil, gone through a lot of pain. He lost
Robin Givens, dude. Robin Givens.
Yeah. Well, he also he lost one of his daughters, at a young age, and that's incredibly difficult to imagine even going through that. But overall, I just feel like, does he still have the fight in him? But if movies ring true and are a reflection of our world, Rocky, I remember Rocky Balboa, when Hit came out, that's what he said. He's like, there's still a beast caged up inside that he wanted to get out. In the basement. And it's just like, so he wanted to get that out. And I'm wondering if Mike Tyson does have that inside, because I think a lot of the thing that made Mike amazing is that raw, animalistic attack style that he did. Like, he just came at you viciously, right? And it's just like, and obviously there's a lot of precision involved, and there's so much power, but it just looks so like just a rabid dog just coming at you, and just a barrage coming at you. Yeah. So I'm just wondering if that's the case. Like he still has that inside him where he's like, I got to kill something because it's time. Like I've repressed it long enough, and Jake Paul's a good target. Like it'd be fun. There's a lot of money to be made there, and I know that you think, and we're gonna unpack this, but you think that Mike Tyson isn't willing to go and kill Jake Paul. Like you think like it's gonna be again a gentleman's
No,
agreement to say like, hey, we're not going to really try to hurt each other.
no, I don't think so. That was Roy Jones. I was talking about Roy Jones and Mike Tyson. They're
Okay,
both old.
so you think he'll actually want to kill Jake Paul? Like he'll want to go out there
No,
like an animal?
he has to. His animal instincts are just gonna kick in when Jake Paul is like. I believe like to an extent because right now just their marketing itself. I'm sure they got together and they're always together, like side by side, not like, like no beef, right? Like
Right.
it's just sort of like calm. But like when Jake Paul was like, when he's just like talking about Tyson and stuff, it's just not so like, but like, I feel like, he's the heel, right? He's the heel in the situation. And Mike
And that's
Tyson
normally
is
Mike. Normally Mike was the heel.
really likes the heel, but you get what I'm saying. Like the promotion, even right. Jake Paul had this whole video of like him, with the tattoo on, and just quoting famous Mike Tyson quotes, and I'm like, I'm ready to do this to Mike, like he did to other people, and all
Yeah.
this stuff. And so I agree. I mean, they've agreed. I'm sure they've agreed on that part, like WWE style. So that part is sort of like, I guess, a little rigged. But feel like if Mike gets hit a couple times, like 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 it just takes a little bit to get Mike
Yeah.
out of his peaceful Zen mode that he's been at recently.
I think Jake Paul's coming out for blood. I think that even though obviously he's criticized heavily because a lot of what they say his fights are their antics. He goes and fights people who are what they say past their prime and really aren't going to be or pose much of a threat to a young gun. But anytime that the fights actually happen, he comes out for blood. Like he swings hard. He's trying to get the knockout. He's succeeded in getting a knockout quite a few times. And I don't think it'll be any different with Mike. I think he is going to actually try to come out and knock him out.
No, and you know what's really actually scary is we all. I'm not going to assume for you. Who do you think is going to win?
I mean, I think that if Jake can weather the first couple rounds, Jake will probably win. But if he can't, I think and Mike comes with his power, I think Mike will win. I think Mike can get a knockout on him if he comes with his power.
Oh, and Mike had a fight with Holyfield too, right?
Yeah. Well, that's who
Recently.
he bit his ear. Well, not like you
No,
mean like later
recently.
on.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't remember if he did that.
that was in between the Roy Jones. So he's had these little exhibition matches.
Yeah.
Um, obviously, because he needed to support his coke problem that he had, or like back his deposit on his Tigers at the MGM. But it looks like he's more like money conscious. He's not like like Iron Mike Tyson in terms of like spending money, and like he's just like sort
Yeah.
of learned this lesson. You can sort of tell.
Yeah.
But I mean, so here's the thing though. So Jake Paul, let's talk about his. So a lot of professional fighters are really worried about Mike Tyson.
Yeah. They think he's gonna get knocked out and his legacy will get
No, no,
messed up by this.
no. Not only that, it's just like his head, brain. How many times
Oh,
has he been hit in his
yeah,
life? And
yeah.
he's 57, and he's had a long bout of brain damage from drugs and getting hit.
Mm,
So people like Teddy Atlas, like people like was it Canelo? I think it was. Like they're just like sort of worried a little bit.
yeah.
So if they're sort of worried, then I think we should, as Mike Tyson fans, should be a little worried too.
So you are
I'm a
worried that
little
Jake
bit
Paul is
worried because check this out, dude. Okay, so the only person he's lost to was Tommy Fury, right? Jake Paul.
yeah.
And so he beat Anderson Silva. But then that's old Anderson Silva. And he's not like a heavyweight like Mike is. But the Nate Diaz, right? I don't know if Nate Diaz was, subdued from like just retiring, sort of. But Nate Diaz is a human zombie. He gets hit. His chin is crazy. Like he gets hit, he's just like, "Come at me!" Like I barely
Yeah.
felt that, even though it was
Yeah.
like a full deck. So if he can beat Nate Diaz, and Nate Diaz is obviously way smaller, but the heart and the drive of Nate Diaz, right? If he can beat somebody like that, and Nate Diaz isn't as old as Mike Tyson, so this is where I'm sort of getting scared for
Yeah.
Mike
Well, I
Tyson.
think, yeah, at the time that he fought Anderson, Anderson was 47 years old. Prior to that, he fought Tyrone Woodley back to back.
That's
And
right.
I remember Tyrone was somewhere in his early 40s, though. He wasn't, you know, which I don't know. I mean, I don't know that, I mean, maybe in terms of physicality, they say that's past your prime. But dude, if you're in your 40s, huh?
Not you still got the strength though. You still got the old
Yeah, I was just saying, like if past your prime to them is 100%, right? But past your prime could just mean that you're still at 90%. Like 90% is still like for a badass fighter like Tyrone Woodley, like that's still a lot. And he got cold knocked out by Jake Paul, you know. So I don't know, and I think that Jake Paul's not at 100% yet. That's the crazy part. So Jake Paul's not in his prime. They say he's in his prime, but I don't think so. I think he's still getting better.
This is his prime now.
You know, he's only been in the game 4 years, dude. It's like that's nothing. Most boxers who go into actual boxing as a career, they've been doing it since they're in their early teens. You know, that's where they get started. So it's like so much of their footwork, their movement, their power, like it's been developing for years. And Jake is like, he was on the Disney Channel that during his teen years. Like he was doing all these other things, doing YouTube antics and stuff. And now, you know, he decided, well, I'm going to take this seriously. So I still think that the prime Jake Paul is coming up. Like I feel like the best of him is still coming if he sticks to what he's doing. I still think there's, you know, because I think he's very serious about wanting to get into a legitimate boxing career and go for a world championship, you know, and he gets criticized over and over and over about that. It took a long time for him and Tommy to finally get into a fight. And even then, Tommy, who's been boxing for a long time and comes from, you know, a family of championship boxers, he held his own against Tommy Fury for 12 rounds. Tommy barely eked it out. Like he didn't whoop Jake Paul by any means.
That's true.
You know, so I don't know, man. I think that there's a very real danger for Mike Tyson. And I do think that there's a danger that his legacy can get affected by getting knocked out at this moment in time.
I would say yes, but not as much as it would have been 10 years ago. Even still out of his prime, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sort of so. I mean, obviously, Mike is an offensive boxer. Like everybody knows this, right? But I'm sure he's worked on his defense.
Yeah.
For this, he has to, right? I mean, all those like, like, you know, all that is for like, I think just for like the show, but like, you know, there's also strategy that goes into boxing. And you know what? Something like, you know, a famous boxer once said, you always get a plan. You always have a plan until you get punched in the face, right? Yeah. And that was Mike Tyson, and then that's probably what Jake Paul might do to him.
He might make that ring true for him. Let's check this. I want to put a video up on screen real quick of old school Mike Tyson versus right?
Talking about love. Yeah, the love clip.
Yeah, so let me do that real quick. Hold on one sec. I'm going to play this first one. This is from back, I think, in 1992, when he fought Lennox Lewis, and this was the press conference for Lennox Lewis. This is probably one of the most famous like outbreaks of that Mike ever did. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this real quick. It's only 20 seconds.
Lewis certainly isn't that type of person. We saw that in the same sort of situation with House and Rock. Now Mike Tyson is screaming curses out in the crowd. I don't even know who's talking
specifically. And Mike Tyson was in jail before, right?
Yeah, I think he did serve some time. But you
and
see,
then he fought Lennox.
so that's a good thing to look up. But just to point out, like, this is like one of the things he loved doing is getting into, like, he's very aggressive. Like, he was saying a lot of
The thing,
weird things that most men aren't going to say to other men, but he was being incredibly aggressive. Like, he was going to dominate that guy in every single way. And this is just talking to somebody in the crowd. It wasn't even talking to Lennox, but it was after an altercation that him and Lennox just finished having on stage.
right.
So now, as recently, a few days, maybe like 2 or 3 days ago, Jake Paul and Mike Tyson were doing a press conference, and again, the reason that a lot of people, like Michael, say, like, I put you on, is because when he did that Roy Jones Jr. exhibition, the undercard right before him was Jake Paul fighting somebody. They got him.
Nate Robinson.
Yeah. Nate
And
Robinson, the basketball player.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg and who else was it Snoop and like Dave Portnoy or something? Like they're like Snoop just started singing like hymns after Nate got dropped the second time. He's like, "Oh Lord, precious Lord, oh no!" That was the funniest thing ever. He's like, "Precious Lord, just stay down, brother, just stay down."
So here's a clip from when him and Mike Tyson at the press conference.
Hear that, Mike? I love you. I love you. Like a father loves his son, but I must discipline you. You're going.
I can't see it on my end, but I'm sure the audience can.
So he was just like, I love you too. Jake's like, I love you. And then he's like, I love you too. They're just it's so opposite of what you're used to seeing in a fight buildup where two people are talking mad shit about each other and saying all these crazy things. And these guys are like, I love you.
No, it's like, hey, no, well, he said something first, like, I'm gonna knock him out, like, I'm gonna do all this stuff, but like, Mike, I love you. I love you. He's like, I love you too. I don't know. Like, he's just like, well, let's just find out if you're gonna. But very different from all F you till you love me.
Yeah. And even in the face off, Mike is not serious at all. He's smiling. He's like, meh, meh, meh.
Yeah.
And then he walks off, like, not aggressive. And maybe that's part of what he wants. Maybe that's him thinking, hey, I'm not taking it as seriously or whatever. And maybe come game time, he's gonna come in as an animal.
No, Mike is on a lot of mushrooms. He's on a lot of mushrooms, so he's chill and relaxed. Like, no, if it weren't for that, he'd kill everybody in sight. He's on mushrooms. He's like also high, and he's also on like DMT or whatever, ayahuasca, whatever the case is. So it's like a combination of everything that's chilling him out.
Oh.
And I think that's also another combination. And of course, with age, but of course, I think he says that he does smoke weed when he boxes, but he doesn't take mushrooms because, like, I think he like sees too many people. So he'll like smoke just for like the, mental. I guess it gives him mental clarity or whatever.
Interesting.
The opposite for me. So I mean, yeah, that's a new Mike, but I mean, yeah, again, he has it in him. I just want him to. It needs to be fast. That knockout just needs to be fast, or else it's going to go to round whatever. Is it a 12-round fight?
No, I don't think it will be 12. I think it might be like
10 rounds with regular boxing gloves, right? Regular, just standard WBC gloves, right? Not like anything bigger, not anything small. Okay, so I mean, whatever. It's telling me how many rounds.
But do you think if he gets to knock out Jake, what does Jake do next? Does he come back and be like, oh, well, that was just, I got to dust it off and I got to come back and keep going? Or do you think he stops trying to do these gimmick fights and starts just focusing on?
Oh man, if we played that clip, did you see where Mike Tyson got mad? And he could have got on you about that too, Eric. So there's this guy at the press conference, and he's like, "So Jake, when are you gonna fight like real people? Like, when are you gonna stop doing these gimmick fights?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, you're calling Mike Tyson a gimmick fight?"
Yeah. And then Tyson did the same thing.
Oh,
He's like,
right into that area.
What'd you call me?
Yeah. And then that's when I saw Iron Mike Tyson come out. Wait, what'd you say? What'd you say? And he's like, I was like, like
Yes. He probably left the room. He's like,
You know what I mean?
I don't want to see Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson come out. No way. I think, but look, I think that there is still, it's boxing. So it's very possible that Mike gets a knockout. I'm just wondering, what does Jake do? Because now, yes, he's Mike Tyson. But the way the world works is they're going to spin it and be like, dude, a 58-year-old knocked you out, bro. And that they're going to just try to play that over on him.
Well, I think he's going to move on. He's like, oh, yeah, I got knocked out by Mike Tyson. Like, okay, like, what's next, right? Like, I mean, I don't think he's going to, like, no, he has more fights to fight. And again, if you're telling me that he's not even in his prime fighting Mike Tyson, I guess not in his prime either. That's still pretty ballsy, I would say. But I mean, that's still not going to, I don't think that hinders his, because he's not a real boxer yet. Like, he's not like.
Why isn't he a real boxer yet? What, I guess, in the world's eyes, what does it take for him to be considered a real boxer?
Like you just said, since you're like a kid, you're eating and breathing and living like boxing, like all these like boxing prodigies, like Floyd Mayweather, his dad probably forced him to do crazy stuff, like as a kid to lock him in. And then you get the Tommy or Tyson Furies. You've got like just these people from day one. Like I have boxer homies out here in LA. And they've been just day one, like just eat, breathe, box, cut weight, all that stuff, right? It's like it's actually real. So I think
here's what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing from you, and I think that probably the rest of the boxing community is going to be in agreement. You guys probably will never think he's a real boxer. He came in the game too late, and even if you were to become a champion, you guys would probably be the kinds to be like, hey, he was fed his opponents. Like he's had like on his way to championship, he hasn't had real opponents, stuff like that. You don't think that's going to be the chant that people are going to give, because otherwise, like again, he can't reverse time. So he got in the boxing game real late. So he's never going to be able to say, I've been doing this since I was a kid. What is it going to take for him to be considered a real boxer based on when he came in the game?
Again, so during that process of coming up, you got to go through, easier rounds, and he's doing that right now. Even though they're established names, they're basically sparring partners. They're like 50-year-old sparring partners. Everybody's fought except for Nate Robinson, who he thought he just had it in like street fighting, and then he actually got knocked out, like brutally knocked out. But he needs to fight. He needs to fight some undercards at a professional level at his weight class to introduce him to like, the actual boxing. What's the main, is it WBC right now?
Yeah.
Like 2, right?
But think about if you're Jake Paul, he's so used to the excitement of what he does now, the draws he gets in terms of pay-per-view buys and eyes on the fights and all the chatter that comes with it. If he has to like go and fight people who are no names, he may not get the same kind of excitement and draws that he's used to. And I don't know, or the money. And I don't even know if he's willing to do that.
Yeah. So then that's why we're not willing to accept him as like coming up through the actual, like if you're a hooper, like you went to AAU, you did the whole process. Like if he's just coming, okay, so there's some like exceptions to the game, like a Brock Lesnar at UFC.
Yeah,
he's coming in from wrestling. Kimbo Slice came from like street fighting, went to the UFC. That didn't translate well. He wasn't that good. But there's exceptions to the rules, right? There's exceptions to the rules. But it's just a matter of then I think what's going to happen is like, the reason why the boxing world won't accept him is because once he comes into that WBC space instead of his own little whatever his media outlet, what is it, on DAZN or whatever, or Netflix this time?
Yeah, with his promotion. best value promotions or something like that.
But if it was if it was like somewhere else, it'd be, it'd be different. But I mean, he has to fight somebody established and win. That's when I'd be like, okay, he's a real boxer.
Put yourself in his shoes, though. Would you do what he's doing, or would you give it up and go the route so that people could say you're a legit boxer?
No, I would keep doing what he's doing right now, because again, even it's the whole LeBron James thing, right? It's just like, as much as you can do, you're still not good enough, right? Like, and that's just what's going to happen, like with public opinion with Jake Paul. So, you're doing this for money. I get that you want to like do good thing, reach new heights, blah blah. But man, the money generated from these fights,
insane.
Come on, man. And it's just like, so I would just keep doing this because one, he owns the he basically owns the entity. So why go to somebody else's league and be an employee where you already have your own marketing set up? You can probably market better than the other guys, and so, yeah, I mean, he's got to do that. But he's got to,
gonna watch. Hey, I may be, bucking the trend here, because I am personally a fan of watching Jake Paul. I love when he has fights. I love the antics, and I love watching it because it's very entertaining for me in a sport that I've otherwise felt like was getting pretty boring. Like, there were just marquee fighters weren't there as much, and it wasn't as exciting. And he came in and he made the sport more exciting to watch, even the route he's going.
Well, during the time period where he started was sort of when it was like, like Gervonta Tank was sort of, and then there was the it was like the heavyweight time at the time. So the Tommy Furies, the Anthony Joshua's, the Andy Ruiz, it was that time, I think, when Jake started. So it was like a heavyweight division kind of thing. Anyways, I do like Jake. I do like watch Jake fighting because, one, I like people seeing it improving and actually working on their craft.
Yeah,
I do respect that. So that's number one. But number two, he has a pretty good stance, like where it's controlled, where he's not too high, he's not too low, he's not fainting on everything. He could take some hits, and then just sort of drop, but he has chin drop and he has that. But he has like a good like base, where it's just like when he can throw a jab, that jab is actually going to hurt. When he throws a hook, it's very calculated because he's not that fast, know?
He's not.
So like he's
Garcia, right?
Let's get into him next, because I have a lot to say. So, yeah, exactly. But then, and Jake does have knockout power, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do love his stance, and it gets better every fight. I've noticed. Obviously, I mean, you have to, but I do like to see progression. Don't get me wrong, but
well, I think that he's actually provided us the opportunity to see that progression more clearly than we would with other fighters, because he's being watched so much more closely. But the other thing I like a lot about Jake Paul is I think he is inspiring a lot of other youth to want to get into the sport from a young age, and just kind of seeing different ways that they can make themselves known better. Because leave it just to boxing, it could take a lot longer to work up the ranks and get noticed and really well to get famous. So that money could be there with it, because that's kind of how it is, right? It's like the fame has to be there so that you can get the money with it, and other people are going other routes, like Ryan Garcia, where he saw that, man, social media is a place where if he can make himself really well known on social media and famous, then it makes the draws for the actual fights better and means more money. And so now you got a guy like Ryan Garcia who's, man, if you follow him on social media, he's all over the place. He's all over the place, from, antics of like, he's drinking and doing all this stuff, to showing off his speed and his hard work ethic when he's working out. Yeah, those even the best, like one of the things that stuck really well with Ryan Garcia is that challenge where you'd put on the body bag cover and you'd let him just start slugging you in the stomach and see
Yeah,
how many of his hits you
the
could take.
left, right?
Yeah, his left hook. Yeah.
And I think his trainer. I mean, those trainers take punches, man. I see. I'm a huge fan of Alex Pereira from the UFC,
Yeah.
the champion now, and he did that thing. He has like I saw him on a video with Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal is like teaching him how to do like the 1 inch punch and stuff like that. It's basically just to connect better, like how to connect better instead of just throwing punches to throw punches or whatever. And so yeah, I forgot where I was going with the story, but anyways, so yeah, he's top of he's like the champion now, and he has also. What were we talking about? Knockout
We
power?
were talking about Ryan Garcia.
Where'd that go? I was going somewhere with this. Anyways, yeah, but yeah. So Ryan Garcia, that left hook is deadly, dude. And it's just, and sorry, Alex Pereira has that same one, but his is defensive that turns offensive.
Yeah.
Whereas Ryan is pure offense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, Ryan has really a lot of speed, and speed translates into power, and that's one of the things even Bruce Lee would teach, he would teach that speed creates power. So even if you don't weigh 250 pounds, you can still generate a lot of force with speed. So Ryan's a great example of that. I think the one thing that kind of just has me puzzled with him is like how, because he got so famous through social media, even though he's an excellent boxer, like how seriously is he taking it now? Because, the last fight he had, he disqualified himself from being able to get the championship titles because of weight. And he kept bragging about how he was drinking alcohol while he was training and he didn't need to do this or that. And it's like, well, why did you just give up? Like you had won. You could have been champion. Why did you do that? Like, I don't understand that play.
Well, I mean, he said he was trolling. He said he was trolling the whole time, and it was to play mental games with homeboy so that he can get the upper edge, and like everybody that thought he was crazy talking about the Bohemian Grove and like the Illuminati and then all that stuff, and then aligning with like Trump, who's like technically, I mean, what's really crazy? Trump was like at every boxing event. Like he's like a boxer. He loves
fights. He loves UFC too. He's always at the UFC.
He's always there, And so, and then him aligning with, aligning with Trump. If this was before Trump's presidency, everybody would be like, yeah, that's super normal. Yeah. That's Trump. He loves boxing, right? But now it's just like, political and all that. So he had that. So and I don't believe him when he said that, though. He did a full troll job. I think he has some mental issues.
And you think he just couldn't handle without being on substances? Because the other thing is, like, he's been tested from that fight and has tested positive for some enhancement drugs, and now he can't. I don't know what that means. Normally, that you're not going to actually get that win, doesn't it? It means that you're going to end up getting disqualified.
They're sort of deliberating as to what they're going to do with that, because they said that, like, why did the fight even happen? But then they say it was the night before, and then they're saying that it's a psyop, and like they're just like trying to frame him or like whatever the case is, because he like talked against the Illuminati, So there's a lot going on with Ryan.
You think that could be? Where are you on all that? You think that stuff exists? That there is the Illuminati, that they have this control over the world, and they can obviously come in and interfere. Obviously, there's people in power, people with massive amounts of power who can make things happen. But I guess
Miranda Gates divorces Bill Gates right before COVID.
Yeah,
and she's like, "You're gonna make this drug." You're gonna make this disease and then like have this drug or this vaccine thing, and you're just gonna like push it out to everybody, and you're gonna burn down Hawaii. I don't think I want to stay with you, dog. Because Bill Gates owns like but he's known for. I'm gonna get canceled for this too, but he owns like a good product like Punta Mita. When I was there last year, is like a developed. It used to be just like this fishing village, but then it was like this fishing village of Puerto Vallarta, and then this like nice like resort area, and then now Maui and London or Maui and England are the two like most coveted coveted strategical like land that like England's never been really ransacked, by the Roman Empire couldn't really even get to them. You know what I mean? Like the location was so good. And then like Maui's location is just like, so there's a lot of money for both of them. So I think he burned down. I think he burned down with BlackRock.
Okay. So then you mentioned a second ago though that Ryan Garcia, and again, I'm just trying to keep us on the topics with mixing in these other topics, but Ryan Garcia, you say he has probably mental issues, which is why we saw a lot of what happened. But you don't also think that maybe there is other powers that be, because he was pretty vocal. Like he showed. Well, didn't he show behind the scenes video of stuff going on as well? Like they were like getting together at the groves and chanting and doing all that stuff. I mean,
yeah, but did he see it?
Obviously he looked like he was still a decent distance away, but it did look like you could make out that there was people with the hoods on and stuff like that. So,
but the Bohemian Grove is real. I mean, it's in California. I mean, like in NorCal somewhere. But anyways, going back to the right. So I think it's a combination of that, and then like that whole troll job thing. I don't think it was 1,000% a troll job. I think it was like 80%, maybe 70%.
I still don't know why you would give up the opportunity to be champion if that is the that's the name of the game. That's what all the boxers are aspiring to be, a champion. He had that opportunity and he blew it. Not because he couldn't win, because obviously he could. He blew it because he didn't weigh in correctly, and now it looks like he was taking substances that he wasn't supposed to.
And he was also, he should have weighed in correctly. I mean, that was the whole, and by the way, he said that was apple juice. I don't know if that was. But this fight, substance or not, he was in the wrong weight class before. He was too skinny and gaunt versus Gervonta.
It looks like 140 is where he probably should be, huh?
No, he should be around 150, like 155.
You think so? Because he was at so this was a 140 fight, the last one he did.
Right, and then he said he was about like 155 by the time he came into the fight.
Wow.
So, I mean, but anyways, back to the story at hand. I mean, so Ryan Garcia is super interesting right now. Let's just see. He reminds me sort of like a Jorge Masvidal, just sort of like flavor of the week right now. Get everything done, but then I think he's going to sort of fade out.
You think so?
But, yeah, Ryan Garcia, yeah. Yeah.
Well, that'll definitely wait to be seen, because I mean, again, he is good at staying on socials and trying to make noise there. And I see like recently he's been trying to introduce other people and get them followers and stuff like that. So I think maybe he even might be doing that so that he can continue to stay relevant as other people get famous. That, if he did start to drop in social status, he could be like calling him favors. Hey, remember how I put you on?
No. What I'm saying is, I think his like boxing wise, he's like, this is his peak right now. I mean, hopefully, it's not his other endeavors, but I like that he's basically cross selling his brand through boxing to do other stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Anyways, who do you got, Jake, or who you got, Mike?
I think Jake's gonna win. I think he's gonna weather the storm. I think he's going to try for the knockout, and I think he has a high probability of getting it.
Okay.
Because hey, listen, because now he's also heavier, his punch is going to be harder. He's gained weight for this.
Mike or Jake?
No, Jake. Jake's gained weight to fight Mike Tyson. He's gaining.
Mike Tyson's pretty big.
No, I know. Well, that's why Jake had to gain weight. He had to even up the odds a little bit. So,
well, it's 2 2-minute rounds, 8 rounds.
8 rounds. Yeah.
So
you think you can take it?
So if Mike Tyson's not gassed, because like unless Jake hits him with somewhere that he's had issues with before, or like because I don't think the face too much is really like the ribs, the ribs, if he's like targeting the ribs, the body a little bit, I think that might mess up Tyson, like, and then he goes for the head after. But if it's 2-minute rounds, and I don't know how they're going to come out, it really depends. I mean, the fight starts before the fight. Obviously, everybody knows that, right? If you're a fighting fan, fight starts before the fight. Come out pretty like already jacked up a little bit, lubed, like, or sweating a little bit. If Mike doesn't have that crazy, that stare with what's his name, that one dude, when he came out of jail, like that, like just if he doesn't have that kind of stuff, and he's just like,
yeah,
I think Jake got it. I think Jake got it, because if it's going to just be longevity, he's just going to keep his distance and, oh, no, I'm not going to get hit, right? And I think he got that, but I don't know, man. It's going to be pretty close.
And they're going to do it on Netflix. So I'm wondering, like, is this the first time that Netflix hosts a fight live?
Yeah. So, okay, so here's my thing. I think Jake's going to win by decision.
Yeah, I mean, just think about the amount of eyeballs that are going to be watching and how much more pressure that puts. Because before, it's like you got to sell pay-per-views. You got to convince people to fork down $60 to watch a fight. Whereas now people are going to be able to tune in who have Netflix already, which you got millions and millions of people already watching Netflix, and now they could have their friends over, and they're not going to have to pay a dime extra. And I just feel like that's a lot more pressure than maybe we're even thinking about. That there's a lot of eyeballs, and Mike doesn't want to look stupid, so he has to come out swinging hard. And he said it. He's like, I'm coming out there to kill. And Jake obviously has to take it incredibly seriously because he doesn't want to get knocked out in front of all those people.
Well, my only problem with Mike though is like I have seen those training videos, like just like I've seen them. But then when he came out for Roy Jones, I didn't see that same ferocity during training. I don't know if it was because of training, but I didn't see that same, you know what I mean? So like we can watch all these videos of like Mike Tyson still got it like with pads.
Yeah. All right.
But
important question. Because this fight is even, I don't think it'll end up being like a real sanctioned boxing fight that can count on their records. It'll probably still end up being considered an exhibition. But with that being said, do you think because of that, they both might be tempted and they maybe both are taking enhancement drugs to try to bring it even harder come game day? Because what do they got to lose?
They don't test though, right? Because it's his own league.
I don't know. I don't know if they test or not. But all I'm saying is, what do they got to lose? Because no one has a championship on the line. And it's an exhibition. So if it's not going to count towards either one's record, and you can check me, you can fact check and see if I'm wrong on that online and see if they are going to technically be an exhibition. Because if it is, then why wouldn't they? I would almost think that they would.
I think it is because I know they talked about championship, this and that, but they're like, yeah, it's an exhibition. So, well. That's what, it's an exhibition. But I think they are. I think they probably give out one of those fake belts, like they did with Masvidal, BMF belt.
Sure. But you get what I'm saying. Right? You get what I'm saying. What do they have to lose in taking any kind of enhancement drugs? Being that there's nothing on the line except win or lose.
Mike Tyson's on testosterone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But is that illegal? Is that? I don't even think that. I don't think that's illegal.
But then you take the right kind, then it could be. But I feel like just like the baseball era, Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire, the steroid era was dope. Like we want to see,
home run.
Just brass, like just craziness, right? Like that's what I want to see if they're going to do steroids. So I'm pro steroids. Yeah, I'm with you.
Well, it'll remain to be seen. I think I'm excited. I mean, I wish it was a little closer, but we're still
Yeah,
about
wow.
what 2 months away, or a month and a half away from the big fight happening. I think that, like I said, more people than ever are going to be watching it because it's on Netflix. That's a huge, huge move on Jake's part to make that happen. You can't take it away. He's a brilliant marketer.
Marketer, I was just gonna
Very
say, yeah.
great at strategy, really good at making awesome money moves, and you got to give it to him for that for sure.
Both of them.
Both of them. Yeah, Mike Tyson has lost it. He's made it and lost it several times in his life already, and it's just always impressive to see that he can keep coming back. So kudos to him as well, because obviously that's a hard thing to do.
But if Jake Paul knocks him out, I'll be so mad, bro.
Are you gonna really? So then you're clearly saying you want Tyson to win.
I do want him to win, but I don't think, like, if I'm gonna bet on it, it's going to decision on Jake.
Yeah.
Unless, I mean, 2-minute rounds, just stay away from him and jab, jab, jab. I think he got more of a reach anyways, because Mike's style is dogging forward. If he just sort of chills back, whoa, for whatever minutes that is.
Try to find an opening for his hook.
That's what I'm saying. So just avoid the hook. You're good.
Well, my friend, it's been great chatting with you today again about another interesting cultural relevant topic. Look forward to doing it again. Anything you want to say before we sign off? What
are we talking about next?
I don't know yet, man. We got to go to the drawing board because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Yeah. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. So next week's
what? No, just no politics? Is that what?
Yeah, no, it's all mostly, we're talking about culturally relevant stuff, and sometimes that can be political, but I prefer to avoid that. There's other fun topics to talk about.
I agree. Well, I'm in California anyway. Yeah, so that would have been funny, but yeah. Well, no, I'm stoked to do the next one. And shoot, if you guys are watching out there and you guys like it, I mean, what do you guys want us to talk about? The reason why. I like this podcast is like me and Eric are connoisseurs of a lot of things. So, what you want to talk about? Top Chef. What's your favorite show?
Right.
Did you watch The Godfather?
I've seen The Godfathers. Yeah.
We should probably do like a movie. Like we watch a movie together, and then you sort of like edit it, clip it.
Yeah.
But then we'll watch like the parts of it. We'll be like, oh.
We can do stuff like that. But like I said, there's a lot of topics that are popping off right now. Dude, like I just recently been following the stuff with the what's the actor's name that he played Rhodey on the first Iron Man?
Yes, Terrence
Howard. Like,
is he a genius or not? That should be our next one.
Yeah, I had no clue. But man, when you hear that guy spit, and I'm just like, what?
So you're saying one of his thing was like 1 × 1 is 2. How can you take away a 1? How can you take that 1 away?
Yeah.
1 × 1 is not 1 because how is it going to be 1 when you took 1 away?
Yeah. Oh, Joe Rogan just had him on, man, for like 3 hours, and he talked about such a variety of things that I'm just like, is this guy for real? Like, if this guy like the hidden genius that we don't realize, or is he trolling all of us? We gotta dig into that. So that might be a topic for next week.
It's like him versus Neil deGrasse Tyson, who got the most BS.
Right. Have him go 1-on-1. That'd be dope.
Yeah, the other Tyson fight. So yeah.
But anyway, all right, buddy. Well, thanks again for being on with me today. Everyone else, we're excited for next week. We'll see you guys then. Take care.